Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Sup/x/. I noticed there aren't any Greentext threads and I love them, so I hope you guys are up for it. I'll start. B16. With friends walking around the neighborhood chilling after school. We find an abandoned rundown house. We went to check it out. Heaps of stuff left, for example, beds, chairs, sofas. We decided to check all the rooms. One door is locked from the inside. A friend goes around to break through a window. He unlocks the door and looks super freaked out, pale. He says he heard something unnatural. We didn't hear it. We calm him down and move in. Same old stuff. A bed and a desk with a chair. Everything is majorly dirty. We hear something scratching. We look up. The ceiling is covered in some weird writing or satanic symbols. Nope.gif. We run out. The friend that unlocked the door acts weird for the next few days. I'm unsure if he's traumatized. He says he had really bad nightmares. He's all good with him now. We never go back there. Go.
Got a few of these as my house is a nope factory. This one was one of the freakier ones. It happened in November of 2004 and seems to be what started it all. I say this because I'd never experienced a single paranormal thing in my life before then. But in the years since, my family, friends, and I have really experienced a lot of weird things. Some downright terrifying, to be honest. Well, I'll get to it. My grandfather had fallen extremely ill, and in the months leading up to this, he'd gotten really bad. By November, he was bedridden and required the care of a hospice nurse. We knew he was on his last days and started calling relatives to relay the bad news. It was a tough time for all of us, and with the constant company coming by to pay last respects, it was also very busy. When the day came that he passed on, I vividly remember seeing a woman wearing a long black dress walk past my screen door. She was rather tall and had long black hair. To be honest, she didn't look too out of the ordinary. I wasn't really creeped out by it. I just thought it was odd that she walked past the door and proceeded to the back of the house. I figured it was a relative that came just a day too late. I walked to the door, and upon stepping outside, I'd come to find that there was nobody there. Even more odd was the fact that there was no car. Had she walked? Had she been dropped off? It's not like she flashed by or even looked slightly ghostly. I directly watched her walk quite normally past the door like a normal human being in broad daylight. I proceeded to the back of the house to further investigate, but still there was no one. At this point, I felt the creepy feeling coming on. I went back into the house to see the hospice nurse packing up her things and my mother thanking her for the help. After their conversation, I told my mom that I think someone's here, but I don't know where they went. Who? Where did they go? She asked as she walked to the door. All I could say was, I don't know, I couldn't see her face. I remember my mom looking kind of worried, but saying, well, no one is here now. Just then, the nurse looked at us and said, excuse me, I don't mean to get into your conversation, but I saw a woman in a black dress walk from one of the back bedrooms across the hall and into the other one. I thought you had a relative visiting or something. Didn't really think much of it. The room fell silent, and I felt the same look of fear creeping over my face as the one I could see creeping over the faces of the nurse and my mother. The nurse broke the silence with, well, I just thought I'd let you know. As she got back to what she was doing, my mother asked me to help her check out the house. Nope, I said. Sorry, Mom. Not happening. Needless to say, it was a sleepless night.
This is not my story. It's an old family story, passed down through the generations. It took place, I believe, shortly before the war. I cannot say whether it is true, but it's a good story. My great cousin, or something to that effect, was, at that time, living in the same house with my great-grandparents. He lived downstairs, in the finished basement. One night, they were awoken by gunfire. 6 bangs, followed by a click, click, click. My great-grandpa came running downstairs with his gun and found the whole place wrecked up and stuff thrown everywhere. My cousin sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, holding a silver revolver. His eyes as wide as dinner plates, he was staring across the hallway and pulling the trigger over and over again, click, 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 as it fell on empty chambers. Blood was on the far wall, but there was no blood trail, and he wasn't injured. The silver revolver didn't belong to my grandparents or to him. Nobody knows where it came from. He wasn't responsive, and he was brought to the hospital in an ambulance where he went into a coma. He died soon after, from heart failure. The house had a burglar alarm, rare for that time, but my great-grandparents were loaded. It didn't get set off, and there was no evidence that anybody had entered or left the house. No possessions were missing. That revolver today is in my grandparents' safe. Still got the 6 empty shells in it. It hasn't been fired since that night. There's no make or model stamped on it, but it looks a little like a Smith & Wesson 44. The best logical explanation I can figure is that somebody broke in. My cousin wrestled his gun away from him and shot him with it. Then how'd he get out again without leaving a blood trail?
Last year, people had been seeing weird lights around for a couple months. It was a pretty common thing to see people outside at night watching or videoing them. Kind of fun for a while, but they never did anything spectacular. I hesitate to call them UFOs, but that is what they were. There is a severe storm warning for our area. My wife and I are watching some movies that evening. The power goes out about 9 p.m. We decide to sit up and see if it comes back on. It wasn't raining or anything. We step outside to the back deck. We can see lightning way off in the distance, but the sky above us is clear. A friend texts me. He tells me to look towards the river. Sure thing. I walk around the deck towards the river. I can see a massive amount of lights on the road. Headlights, what look to be searchlights, along with some flashing lights. I texted my friend back asking what was going on. He says it's the military and police keeping people off that stretch of road because of downed power lines. The military? Really? Yeah, just saw the Humvees. Strange. We don't think much of it. I go inside to get my wife a drink. She taps on the window. She motions for me to come back outside. I head back out. She points over to a hillside across a field from us. There are people out there. I can see 6 flashlights bobbing in the darkness. Huh. She notices some more further down the hill in the woods. 12 or so more on a hillside around the other side of the house. Suddenly we see lights coming up our driveway. I go back inside and go to the front door. It's a police car. I step outside to meet them at the steps. They really politely tell us to stay off the roads and stay inside due to the storm. It's not storming at all at the moment. And the downed power lines. They were pretty friendly and stayed and chit-chatted a bit. I asked about the military being there. They say they are guys from a base a few miles down the road taking the power outage as an opportunity to practice some emergency processes. Okie dokie. My wife offers them bottled water. They leave. We go back to sitting on the deck. We're watching the lights on the hillsides and just talking. It's getting late, around 1 in the morning. The power still hasn't kicked back on despite the storm in the distance moving away. We're getting ready to call it a night. Wife is finishing the last bit of her OJ when there is a crack of gunfire. Several more shots. They're coming pretty frequently. We look in the direction they're coming from. They don't seem that far away. I get up and go around the side of the deck. We can see over a dozen flashlights in the woods on the hillside. They're scattered but pointing the same direction mostly. I can see muzzle flash from the guns. There is this unearthly sound, like a scream mixed with a deep moan. The gunfire stops. The flashlights begin heading to the same location. I hear a helicopter going over low. I nope my wife inside and upstairs to the bedroom. I'm not sure what happened, but I figured it would have been better if we were indoors from now on. I honestly don't know what was going on that night. I told the friend who was texting me about it, and he suggested it had something to do with the lights. He even went as far as to suggest that they had cornered and shot an alien in the woods. I really don't know. I don't generally get into the whole conspiracy theory thing, but whatever was going on was very outside the norm.
Somewhat similar story. 6 years ago. Be in the parking lot of my high school. Just finished America football season. I'm chilling with friends waiting for my parents. I see some odd lights near the Civic Center that are in some formation that look like the Big Dipper, but the lights are yellow or orange. My friends and I think they are C-130s, and there's a military base somewhat nearby. Suddenly the lights disappear. We assume it is a cloud or something. I remember that it was a clear day and we could see the moon and stars. I see something, maybe lights or something, in the trees that are like a quarter-mile behind the Civic Center. All of a sudden, the wind picks up and the stadium lights turn off. We assume that the people at the stadium turned them off. The lights near the school flicker a little. I hear something like a huge-ass truck. I turn around and see like 5 or 6 Humvees and military transport trucks cruising at like 60 miles per hour. They go into the forest that is behind the Civic Center. We follow for shits and giggles. At this point, I forgot to mention that we saw the lights again, but this time they were much brighter. I should add that this is a fairly small town. No more than 3,000 people. So seeing the Humvees and military trucks was kind of a shock. Nearing the forest, we see a flash of light coming from the trees. I should also add that there was a large field between the forest and the Civic Center. The light was really bright, like magnesium burning bright. We stand dazed for a few seconds. Then I see a really dark shadow in the grass, maybe like 40 feet away. The shadow literally stands up and makes some weird-ass groan. The military people don't notice it because they're in the forest and went around the field. Another flash of light, less intense this time. I see the shadow again, but this time like 10 feet away from me. My friends notice it too. We froze as if Medusa herself looked at us. The shadow stands up again and looks at us with eyes that look like black holes. At this point, we are literally shitting enough bricks to construct the Great Wall of China. I look up in the sky and see the lights are even more intense, orange or yellow, and are kinda above us. Another flash from the forest. This time the flash was really bright. We are kinda dazed for about 2 to 30 seconds. When I can see again, I see pitch blackness. I assume I went blind or something. I start screaming out my friends' names. The rest of it is hazy, but I think that by the time I returned home, my parents said there were scratches on my back that looked like they were from thorns or something. We never saw military trucks or Humvees again for the remainder of high school, though occasionally we saw the lights in the sky in the same formation. When I graduated, I swear I saw the same shadow darting around the auditorium.
I hate Greentext. I was participating in a reenactment one year. This was a Vietnam one, so I had my AR-15, along with several extra blank-loaded magazines. It was getting very dark, and most of the crowd had left. I talked to the group's captain, and he recommended night practice, basically a patrol in this abandoned cornfield. It sounded fun, so I said yes. After the first 2 scenarios were done, I was placed on the opposing force side. I went off into the woods and waited. That's when I noticed it was dead silent. All that could be heard was the occasional gust of wind through the dead stalks of corn. I glanced around the forest, then crawled out when the wind started up again. 2 loud cracks then filled the air, and I watched as an opposing force walked out of the cornfield with his weapon up. This was followed by something standing up near the corn and firing again. Now, if you've never shot at night, it's a sight to see. The sudden light of the gun's flash makes everything freeze. It's to the point that you can quickly survey the area after a shot's fired, or so you think. Anyway, he soon shot as well. So I continue into the cornfield and lie down in a nice spot, hoping they'll come my way. I rest my rifle in a nice spot in my shoulder, and everything goes quiet. That's when I hear a deep breathing beside me. I slowly turn my head, looking to my right. It's dark as all hell, so I can't see a damn thing. I could use my light, but that'd give my position away like a fucking airborne at this point. I peer through the blanket of darkness, seeing what looked like fur. I slowly roll over to my side and draw my knife, just in case it was a dog. I at least wanted a fighting chance. Something then moves in front of me. I quickly readjust, but miss what it was. When I glance back to where the breathing was, I just see a bare space. I soon get up and move, somewhat shaken at this point. That's when I hear another 2 cracks, along with the captain laughing. I walked right into his line of fire. That's it. Game's done. His next idea was using the woods only. Okay, sounds fun. I load up a fresh mag and follow him in. It's him and I, plus a Viet Cong that was there for the actual event. I'm at the back in case they try to flank the rear. After a few minutes of walking, I heard a rustling nearby. I called for them to hold it, then take a knee and look toward the bushes where I heard the noise. I see what looks like a person standing there. That's it, just standing. Figuring it's an opposing force, I fire. Everything freezes, and I can see what can only be described as a person dragged back from hell. They are beaten up and mangled looking, with pale white eyes. When I try to take a closer look, it goes black again. The captain glares at me for letting our position be known when there was nothing there. He didn't see whatever it was. We continued down the trail and hit the ambush, winning the fight. We gathered up, cleared our weapons, then began the trek back to camp. When we reached the field, I glanced around the group. We'd gone out with 6. I now counted 7, including myself in both times. Strange, but maybe I'd miscounted before. After all, it was dark and I was tired. When we reached the camp, I counted again. 6, including me. Something wasn't right. I asked about the other guy that was with us, and got funny looks as a response. So I ignored it and went to sleep. The rest was uneventful. I've looked into this recently. I want to say skinwalker, but it doesn't fit. This thing didn't do harm. It also changed what it looked like several times, if it was the same thing. Either way, I haven't gone out at night for patrols since then.
I guess this is one of my stories that I remember best. I'll make it short and to the point. But the house I grew up in had a lot of activity. My whole family had things happen to them while living or staying there. But here's the story, anyway. I have quite a few more if anybody's interested, but meh. Anyway, I was quite young. I was downstairs at around 12 a.m. My little sister was asleep on the sofa, and I thought it would be funny to mess with her. I walked up and poked her in the face a couple of times and tugged her hair, just sort of messing around. I was quite dumb when I was younger. Shortly, I'm told to go to bed. So as a good little boy, I head straight up. But while going up the stairs, I get a sudden feeling of guilt, like I've done something very wrong. Shrugging it off, I just get into bed and start to fall asleep. But I feel something heavy on my chest, like a large weight has been put there. I tried to sit up and slowly managed to get my head to rise. Then I got a sudden pain in my face, and my head shot back into the pillows. The heavy feeling was still on my chest, and I just grabbed the covers, pulled them over my face, and said I was sorry. The feeling soon went away. Then I simply just slept and never messed with my little sister ever again.
B10. Just moved into a new house in a small town in California. It looks pretty nice, and I'm excited to finally get all my family's shit moved in. Long day. Time for bed. I have the smallest room, top floor of the house. It's dark. I'm about to go to sleep. Suddenly, I get a low-frequency white noise sound in my ear that starts to slowly increase in pitch. I thought it was nothing. Back to sleep. I hear it again and wake up. This time it's loud. I look around. What the fuck is going on? I'm glued to my bed, flat on my back in fear. It's still dark. Suddenly what looks like a head slowly starts rising at the foot of my bed. When it's at the peak of my bed and I've almost crapped myself in fear, the head looks straight at me and the white noise gets so loud that my head starts to vibrate. I passed out. I wake up the next morning and talk to my mom about what happened. I try to emphasize how terrified I was. I thought I was going to die. She's scared shitless because the same thing happened to her, and she thought she was just having a vivid nightmare. Next thing you know, my dad is telling us to come downstairs. He rips off a piece of the wall he was remodeling. There's a collection of girls' panties embedded in the wall space. They're grimy and smell god-awful, even though they look like they've been in there for years. Turns out a family of 3 used to live in this house about 30 years ago. Police reports say that the stepdad went crazy about 5 years into their marriage, ranting about he's an ugly person or how his demons are eating him and others alive. The wife told police that his health had been declining for a while and that he had grown cold, stopped loving her completely. The wife moved out with their son and had him sent to a mental institution promptly afterwards until he died only 2 weeks after being committed. Some say they had a 4th child that the wife refused to acknowledge, didn't know existed, had amnesia, etc., and that the stepdad had kept in the basement's crawl space. Needless to say, my family noped it all the way to New York after that terrifying night. To this day, me or her never sleep alone.
I have a second-hand story. I want to say before I even tell the story, that the friend this allegedly happened to is a notorious liar. Like, he says he was recruited into a government shadow organization when he was a kid. I'll call him Jabi because that's his name, B-Jabi, driving from Phoenix, Arizona, where we live, to a concert in New Mexico. He drives over the New Mexico border up near northern Arizona. All of a sudden, his radio cuts off and there's a guy driving on the shoulder of the road right beside him. The guy's on a motorcycle. Jabi's in a long Lincoln Continental-style sedan. The guy is doing all sorts of tricks, showing off, popping wheelies and speeding ahead and then slowing down so Jabi can catch him. He's trying to keep up with him. All of a sudden, bam! The motorcyclist cuts a sharp left and drives off the road into a field. Jabi almost drives off the road following him. His headlights flash on a car up ahead, stopped on the same side of the road facing him. There's a guy leaning on an older model car, smoking a cigarette and staring at him. Inside the car is a slumped-over couple. Jabi starts to open his door and get out, but thinks better of it, and gets in and drives slowly past the car with his lights on and the door locked. The couple suddenly jumps out of the car, covered in blood, and stares after him as he drives away. His radio cuts back on when he's out of sight of the whole situation. He continues on his way.
Be me a month ago. I'm chilling with my 2-month-old niece while my bro and his girlfriend are at the store. I'm alone in their new house, watching the baby be cute and stuff. I notice she's staring at something moving above my head, following it with her eyes, clearly focused in on whatever it is. I look above my head. Obviously, nothing's there besides the back of a couch and a wall. I look back down. She's staring down the hallway, smiling. I get a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach as I look down the hall. I swear on whatever God you believe in that I saw a hand with elongated fingers slide behind the door. I jump up, baby in my arms, obviously. Who the fuck's there? You trying to die? I stand there looking down the hallway. My niece is giggling looking down the hallway. I'm backing away from the couch and the entrance to the hallway. I got a gun. Lie, little man. Don't do anything that'll get your ass killed. I hear rustling in the back room. Just as I'm about to walk out the front door, my brother and his girlfriend walk in. I say, "Someone's in the house," and hand her the baby. Me and my brother basically sprint down the hallway and kick open the door at the end of their hallway. Clothes and random shit are thrown everywhere. Nothing was stolen whatsoever. A $1,000 laptop is untouched on the bed. The room was clean not an hour before when I got to their house. Screw all that. I hate being with the baby alone now. And that's the first time anything unexplained has scared the living shit out of me.
This happened about 2 weeks ago. I even went to the guy's funeral last weekend. My sister's best friend has a brother that was killed, rushing the cops after some crazy chase that started in Florida and ended up in Georgia. The best friend didn't have the heart to tell everyone that his brother was a criminal, so he just said he had a heart attack in the house. Everyone found out the truth during the funeral, of course. The best friend's daughter didn't even react when he told her that her uncle was dead. She just said, "It's okay, we'll see him later." Every time they would go out of the house for school or to eat, the daughter would ask why her uncle wasn't getting up from the couch, and why did he just sleep all day on the couch. Her dad kept telling her that he was dead, and he didn't know what she was talking about. The girl kept going, even getting aggravated when her uncle wouldn't answer her or get up and go out with them. She came home from school one day and told her dad that it was nice of her uncle to come by and pick her up, Her dad is freaking out now since his brother has been dead for a week now. At the funeral, the little girl was in disbelief and kept saying, "Why are we acting like her uncle is dead?" when he was sitting right there on a tombstone, talking on his phone. All the women were crying about how the girl could still see him, and some of the guys were even getting angry since he was dead. It was pretty weird. The girl is getting help now to come to terms that her uncle is actually dead.
Be me in October last year. Get home from school, knock on the door to get in. Put head up to the glass. It's hard to see out of, it's that shit with patterns on it. Someone looks at me from the living room. I think it's my mum getting up to let me in. No one comes to the door, bang again. See some huge dude just standing in the middle of the living room. What the fuck? .jpg. Wonder if we are being burgled, and my mum has just walked down to school to meet my sister. Remember, I've just done revision and my sister finished school 2 hours ago. Oh shit. Walk up and down outside the front of the house, wondering what to do. Didn't take my mobile. Finally, after about 10 minutes, get the balls to use my key and go in. Open the door and hear the phone ringing from the living room. Run to grab it, but just miss it, redial to see what the number was. Start walking back towards the hall. I realized the number was my mum's mobile, still shaking from seeing some giant dude in my living room. Ring Mum. Say that I think we're being burgled and I'm stood next to the front door. My heart is pounding. Mum says she is at the neighbors talking. Hall door slams. Flip shit and start shouting down the phone. Tell my mum I'll be there right now. Drop the phone on the pavement and run like a wuss. Get to neighbors. Try and explain, but can hardly speak. The neighbor is a security guard. He goes to check the house, comes back and says no one's there. But when he first got in, he saw a dark figure stood at the top of the stairs. This guy is a big man, and he was pretty shaken. Be shit scared for the rest of the week.
22 years old, renovating a house with my friend, Boss. When we first came into the old house, it was filled with old-ass furniture, super dusty. It was the house of some old people that died, and we were fixing it up for their grandkids to sell. So, we are taking the tile out of an old bathroom. It's going to be all sheetrock. Shit is put on there with like concrete, so it takes a long time hammering and chiseling. My friend leaves to go to the hardware store. I'm alone in this old house. Upstairs bathroom. We took the attic hatch out to do the ceiling. There are no doors in the house. It's gutted for renovation. From where I am upstairs, I can lean to one side and see the attic hatch. That thing is pitch black. I'm not scared of the dark or attic, so I'm working hard. I'm hammering and chiseling this shit off the walls, and I hear noises that aren't consistent with the echoing of my hammer. Lots of echo. Empty old house. All the furniture had been removed before we started work proper. I lean over so the hatch is in my view. I get this sudden gut-wrenching feeling that something is looking at me from up in the attic. I don't look up. I just move back into the bathroom. The feeling is still there. It can't leave the attic, but something is watching me from it. I nope for a while. I decide to sit it out and wait for my friend to get back. I hear a noise downstairs. I assume he's back and call out jokingly, "That took long enough." No response. I realize the noise wasn't him. Nope. .jpg for a while. I don't move. I sit for what feels like an hour. Eventually I hear his van pull up outside, and I hear him come into the house calling my name. I don't reply. He comes upstairs and finds me in the bathroom, noped out. I tell him the story. He laughs it off. We both hurriedly finish the job and leave. We still don't talk about it to this day.
B16. I'm at my friend's house. The kid who lived there before was into demonic shit, like cutting himself up and drawing sigils in his own blood. That kind of stuff. I've been to his house overnight plenty of times. My friend has reported some minor paranormal stuff happening to him. Noises and stuff, seeing things out of his peripheral vision, but nothing too serious. Once our other two friends actually had something throw candy at them. So yeah, I'm at my friend's house. The power's out. It's during a thunderstorm. I'm not worried or paranoid whatsoever. I go to the bathroom to take a shit. It's a pitch black hallway. The bathroom light won't turn on, of course. Well, shit. I use my phone's flashlight mode to locate the toilet. When I pull my pants up, I clearly hear, "Fuck out," in a male voice, so loud into my left ear it hurts. I fucking sprint out of the bathroom. My friend is on the couch, stoned and half asleep. It wasn't him.
I've caused a nope. Anyway, B18, edgy teenager. I bought some of my first cigarettes, and out of habit I go to smoke them in the nearby woods where the kids smoke in secret. It's pitch black in the forest. I only know my way around because I've spent my life running around that little forest. I hear people in the smoking spot. Fuck. I'm an antisocial creep, so I won't go talk to them. I won't light a cigarette to give away my spot. I'm just walking around the barrel clearing. The barrel usually has some campfire in it to produce light, and it usually catches fire after a while of gathering cigarette butts and empty boxes. I hear the teens talking. One thinks he saw me. I stop walking. Complete silence. Nah, it was nothing. I keep walking. My mind conjures up a scheme. I start groaning, inhaling, and letting out an ungodly sound, but not too loud. I think I heard it too. I chance a spot and groan again. The fuck is that? I keep walking. This time I was accidentally visible for about a millisecond. Something is there! I get shot with an airsoft gun. I get spooked by it as the BB hits near my eye. I actually grunt loudly. Oh fuck, something is there! I hear and see them tumbling a bit backwards, visibly spooked. I stomp my feet on the spot and make groaning and panting sounds. The teenagers run away from the place. I run after them for a little while before changing direction. I have my smoke in peace. 2 days later, I hear a story about a monster, bear, madman in the smoking woods.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.